catch fish like these on a consistent basis, there's a few things you got to remember and several things that you got to do. And we're going to talk about some of those this morning. Number one is, when you get the opportunity to go, you got to go. Now, every time I go, I actually know where I'm going to go to start. That doesn't mean that that's where I'm going to catch the fish. It's just like looking for something. You always find it in the last place you look. I had a customer one time tell me, take me to the last place first. Well, if I knew where that place was, it would be the first and last place. And so, you can't catch fish if you don't go. Now, one of the other things you need to do is spend some time searching, scouting around. After every trip, I look at one new spot. Sometimes there's fish there, sometimes there's not. Maybe that spot is something I passed last week and a boat was fishing there. Well, I didn't stop last week and get in this guy's way because he was catching fish or not catching fish. So when I pass that spot next time and nobody's there, I give it a shot to see what's happening. So you're always adding a new spot on every trip that you, number one, can put into your circle that you're going to make, or eat it from your spots. Now, you need a certain amount of baits. Here I've got 4 different baits. I've got a gold spoon, I've got a top water that I tried first thing in the morning. I've got a spinner bait, actually a beetle spin, number 4 blade with a baby bull minnow on it, and a baby -1 shallow run crankbait. A lot of redfish are in shallow water, and so a deep running crankbait is not going to do you any good, especially if they got some grass on the bottom. Now, if I'm fishing a spot and I don't catch anything, when I leave I can go to my GPS and I can take a look at my sonar, and I can take a look at my side scan and see what's in the area. If I didn't catch any fish and there's no structure in the area, chances are you can write off that spot. If they've got some structure, then you can add that spot the next time you make your little round. You can add that spot into your fishing pattern. The other thing is, you have to have a net. Now, I fish by myself 90% of the time. Without this net, I couldn't get those fish in the boat. You cannot pick them up and lift them in the boat when they're that size. And so, this net has been with me quite a while, but it does have a few holes in it from fish and hooks getting caught in there. And so that's just a few things that you need to go on a consistent basis. Now, I caught both of those fish on this shallow running crankbait today. if I come back to this spot, which I'll show you in a minute, I'll start with that shallow running crankbait. I did try the gold spoon and the spinnerbait right through the schools of fish without a hit. They just didn't want it. As a matter of fact, they would turn and run away from it. I lost 3 fish on the baby -1 because the redfish is a bottom feeder. And so if he has to come up for a fish, he's at a disadvantage for grabbing that, and you're at a disadvantage for catching it. And so a lot of times they're not hooked well. A lot of times they're not even hooked in the mouth, they're hooked underneath the mouth, between the bottom lip and the gill, because that's where they came up and slapped it. So there's just a few things to help you catch some fish like those consistently. This is the area that I was fishing. There's not just structure that's showing, there's some structure further out and closer to my boat, where the redfish were tailing this morning, making wakes, so I was throwing to the wakes. And down on this end you can see there's more structure. There's some lily pads against the bank over there, and there's some grass all the way up to that island. I only fished from here to that island. That's the only thing I did. I hope you use some of those tips to your advantage, and I hope you catch a lot more fish. Until next time, tight lines.